Since the last devlog, I've been hard at work making new systems and things to do. I've made a lighting system, added combat, and finally started working on an explorable world. Hi, my name is Jordan, and I'm an indie game dev currently working on the Song of Veridia. It's a top-down RPG with elements similar to Skyrim and Terraria, with a focus on exploration, combat, and relationships. If this game sounds interesting to you, feel free to sit back, grab a snack, and let me walk you through what I made so far. I started off the month with melee combat. The game's going to have multiple classes because I want to allow people to play in their desired playstyle. I figured melee would be a good place to start, and so I got to work on drawing the animations for swinging swords. They turned out pretty good in my opinion, but I'll probably still tweak them a little in the future. Then came the time to actually add some swords to swing around. I made 3 basic swords: iron, which is the one you start with, bronze, a slightly better one, and silver, which is the best of the 3. When it came to actually implementing them into the game, I simply made a new item type for melee weapons. Every item in the game is made using something called a resource. You can think of resources as a box, which contains pieces of data like a weapon's damage, attack speed, or knockback. You can make a resource for every weapon you make and give each of them different stats. The game can then read the stats that you've set for a weapon and apply them for when you use it. In our case, when we have an iron sword equipped, the game takes its attack speed and matches the animation speed with it. Then, when we equip a silver sword, the game changes the speed again to match it. As a result, we have an iron sword which takes a while to swing, and a silver sword which swings much faster. When I was implementing the attack speed, I actually came across a funny bug where I didn't reset the animation speed after you swing, resulting in this. Anyway, now that we can swing some swords, we should probably add something to swing them at. I made a little target dummy which will act as a basic enemy for now. Don't worry, I will add enemies later on. With him in the level, the only thing left to do was making him respond to your hits. To make combat a bit more fun and responsive, I also added damage numbers for whenever you hit an enemy. Overall, I think the melee combat turned out really well. I want to expand upon it in the future by adding unique abilities for certain weapons because they're always really fun to play around with in other games. Anyways, after I was done with the technical side of everything, I decided to add some more weapon types. I wanted to let people have a bit more versatility, and so I added spears and daggers. The spear is still heavily work in progress though. It's very buggy at the moment and I'm still trying to figure out how to make it stand out a bit more. In my last video, I talked about a forest close to my home and how it inspired the environment in my game. I felt like I didn't really do it justice, and so I decided to work some more on making it look better. In my opinion, it's super important to put a lot of detail into the environments because it's what the player will see most of the time when playing the game. The older environment felt very monotonous, and it constantly felt like my eyes were starving for something to look at. This time, I focused on layering. The real world is not a flat field with a bunch of trees scattered around. There are hills, cliffs, bodies of water, and dense fields of grass. So, I placed a little lake next to the starting area and added a couple of lily pads to give it more character. After that, I added denser patches of grass to certain areas of the level and finished it all off with a cliff bordering the edges. I think it's a big improvement since last time. I'm still not finished with the improvements, but for now let's take a look at the lighting system. With February being halfway done, I decided to implement another important system. Lighting is very important for giving depth and life to a world, and since I'm beginning to work on exploration, it's as good a time as any to finally add it into the game. I started out by making a day-night cycle. There's a lot of math behind it, and honestly even I don't fully understand how it works, but there's basically a few equations that turn 1 second in real life into 1.2 minutes in the game's time. This way, one in-game day should be about 20 minutes in real life. For the visual side, I'm using Godot's built-in directional light and dynamically changing its color based on the game's time. The script has a defined gradient, which is used for smoothly transitioning between all the different colors that the sky has. Here's the final result. Now that we have nighttime in our game, we can finally make some lights. This was actually pretty easy to make. The player just has a circle of light surrounding him and it gets blocked by any objects that are in its way. The way it works is that objects have something called an occluder, which is basically just an outline you draw around a sprite so that Godot can understand which parts of an object are solid. While it's pretty interesting, I'm a little unsure if it fits into the game. I might get rid of the occluders and just keep a circle of light at all times. Definitely let me know in the comments below what you think though, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Finally, it was time to wrap up the month by adding one last thing: level transitions. I wanted to have some actual things to do in the game already, and with melee combat completed, I decided to take the next step by making an explorable world. I made a small grove on the eastern side of the map and got to working on connecting it to the first level. Each level in the game is its own scene. At the edges of each level are paths that lead behind the screen. At the end of these paths is a trigger which, when entered, fades the screen to black, loads the next level, and fades back out once it's loaded. For continuity and immersion, it also places the player at the entrance and faces them in the correct direction. Overall, I'm pretty proud of the progress in these past 2 months. If you have any suggestions on what you'd like to see in the game or just want to share some feedback, please let me know in the comments below. I appreciate all the feedback I get, whether it's criticism or praise. Next devlog, I'm going to add a couple of exciting things to the game that I can't wait to show you. With that out of the way, I'd like to thank you so much for watching this video until the end. If you enjoyed watching, remember to hit all the buttons below, and I'll see you next time.